Hello, I'm Emily, and this is my completely unscripted, spur-of-the-moment Zenith review. And I don't know if I'm in this frame or not. 10:30 at night. I have all the lights in my dorm room on, and I'm hoping that's enough light that this will actually work, because I'm just gonna film this now while this is all still fresh in my head. This is partially because I have things I want to say, and partially because I know that if I put this off till tomorrow, I won't end up filming this video, and I really, really want to. So, as already stated, I just finished this book, Zenith, by Sasha, Alsberg, and Lindsey Cummings. This is a science fiction about this girl named Andy who has this starship called the Marauder, and she and her all-female crew are a bunch of space pirates, and they get roped into rescuing this prince who's been abducted from his homeland, and they're supposed to get him and bring him back. Sasha Alsberg is from the channel of Booktubers, and then Lindsey Cummings has a channel too, but it's a little bit smaller than Sasha's. And this is the book they wrote together. I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. I really, really enjoyed it. It was great. I feel like this book has gotten a lot of hate on principle basically since the days back when it was a self-published novella. This book has been a little bit controversial, I guess. I think, from my understanding, it's still controversial. I'm not sure how widespread it is. I'm not even sure what the people that are reading the book and disliking it are saying, because I found that if I read negative reviews, I feel like I have to agree with the negative review, and that's not something I want. I can't say that I'm completely innocent of this. I was a little bit skeptical when I kind of changed my mind as it went on. I'm really glad I did, because I actually really liked the book. I don't see what there is to hate about it. I know people are saying that basically Sasha had it easy because she's a booktuber and blah, blah, blah. Maybe that has some truth, but they got a deal on this book because the novella hit the New York Times bestseller list, not necessarily because Sasha was a YouTuber, although I'm sure that they hit the bestseller list in part because Sasha was a YouTuber. Anyway, I can't tell the difference between the two authors. Like, I can't tell what part Lindsey wrote and what part Sasha wrote. I know that Lindsey said that she was the only person who wrote Claren, but I mean, there's no actual difference between things. There were a couple details that I did wonder if they were Sasha's idea, but I wasn't able to tell exactly. All in all, I thought that this was a really good book. I have definitely read worse. Is it the best book I've ever read? No. Is it the best book I've read this year? Probably not, though I haven't had a 5-star book this year, so that makes that sort of difficult to quantify. I thought it was a really good book and a really solid debut for Sasha. I feel like it would be hard for me to hate this book because I'm not going to kid myself and say that I know Sasha or Lindsey or that they are my friends, because I've talked to these people once in my life. But I understand the struggles they went through to make this, and I understand how much work they put into it, and that makes it really hard to say the book stinks and that it isn't worth reading. When I was at the book signing for Zenith, Sasha started talking about the way that writing a book has changed the way she reads books, and she was talking about how it was making her less critical because she was aware of how much work and blood and sweat and tears goes into writing a book, and how that book is somebody's pride and joy, even if you don't like it. And come in. Okay, so I'm back and I've completely lost my place, but whatever. We'll go on to other things, because I've been rambling about this too much anyway. There was some things that remind me of other books. There's some definite Throne of Glass stuff, but I liked Andy a lot more than I liked Aelin, which means she can't be the same character. There was a little bit of Six of Crows vibes in a couple places too, which made me happy. And the cool thing is that because I didn't actually see this, books all the time are marketed as being like Star Wars. I've only ever read one that actually was, that's Carve the Mark by Veronica Roth. This book, Zenith, I didn't see anything suggesting it was like Star Wars, but it totally gave me Star Wars vibes. Totally. And I mean, I don't necessarily have a problem with that. I was impressed because normally books promise Star Wars and you don't get it, and this one didn't promise Star Wars and we got it. The map is awesome. I don't know if I've ever seen a galaxy map in a book outside of Star Wars book, which made me happy. As a whole, the aesthetic of the book is great. I did have a little bit of complaints with the formatting, because I don't think that whoever did the design for the book had actually read it, because each chapter has the character at the top of it, and it normally works, except for Andy and Dex tend to switch point of view within chapters, so there's a couple places where the chapter title doesn't match with the characters in it. It was a little slow in the middle after they get Valen out of Lunamere and before they get back to Arcadius. I thought that part was a little slow and hard to get through, but it wasn't bad. This book has taken precedence in the bookshelf I really should create, along with Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo and Warcross by Marie Lu, with plot twists I really should have seen coming but pretty much didn't. I had half of the reveal information figured out. I'd figured out very early on, I'm not sure how early, but early, that Valen and Nor were siblings. I figured out maybe 100 or 2 pages in, and that Claren was their mother, but I didn't realize that Valen was working with them, which one of the critiques I was going to say was I thought that Valen got over the trauma of getting kidnapped too quickly, which, given the plot twist, actually sort of makes sense because he was kind of planning things to begin with, which I'm not sure. I'm really kind of sad about that. Why do the characters I like always end up being evil and not getting redemption arcs or turning evil? It makes me so sad. At least from my understanding, he either is under the control of Zenith or he's got a massive case of Stockholm Syndrome. Stockholm Syndrome, for those of you who don't know, is basically, this might be a poor definition, but when prisoners come to feel positive feelings for their captors, which is pretty much exactly what happened with Valen and Nor, because he views her more positively than he views his father, who at the very least never tortured him. As much as I'd like him to be under the control of Zenith, because I feel like it would be easier to redeem him like that, I really think Stockholm Syndrome is the better explanation. While I'm talking about Valen, for a while it really seemed like it was going to be Andy Valen before the plot twist. And I'm not sure how I feel about that, because I really like the idea that Valen had a crush on Andy before Kali died. I don't know if her name's supposed to be pronounced Kaylee or Kali. I'm pronouncing it Kali because I don't like the name Kaylee, but I thought it would be kind of cute if Valen had a crush on Andy, but I didn't actually want it to go anywhere between them. I actually, for all intents and purposes, I ship Andy Dex, which I think that's going to become the actual pairing now. I would probably complain about how it wasn't coded as a romantic relationship that was going to end, but I don't think that is actually going to end at this point, so I won't complain about that. I suppose I could do a character thing, just talk about all the characters and say how I feel about them. Andy, she's a lot like Selena Sardathian / Aelin Galathinius, I don't know how to pronounce that name, from Throne of Glass. I like her a bit better than I like Aelin because I think that Andy is a bit more aware of everything that she's done wrong and a bit more story for it. Aelin is very entitled. I didn't get quite that vibe from Andy. There were a couple places where she really did annoy me, but which might have been partially because I really wanted her and her dad to make up and it didn't happen. And I think it's just sort of my frustration and that kind of fed into my annoyance with her in those couple scenes. But as a whole, I didn't like Andy too terribly much, but I didn't have a problem with her. Nor might have been my favorite female character in the book. She was interesting, and I'm not sure how to feel about her relationship with Zahn, because Zahn doesn't really have a whole lot of personality. He's just kind of like the doting boyfriend in the background. So I would like to see a bit more of like character building for him in the next book. Lyra, Breck, and Gilly, I don't know if I have strong opinions about them. I was just sort of like, about Lyra. Lon was sort of interesting. I was a little bit annoyed with him and Alara for a while. I sort of got over that too. Gilly was a sweetheart. Dex, I can't necessarily, I really liked Dex, but I did feel for him and I did want him and Andy to get together. I think that the people from Tenebris, I think is how you pronounce the name of the planet Dex is from. I think they're not actually human, because they mentioned Dex having green blood at one point. But the one thing I will say is that it's never exactly clear whether or not Dex's, like, the Guardians are human or not. And the first mention that suggests that Dex isn't human happens like halfway through the book. So I did think that one of my like nitpicky critiques was that from character description standpoints, the descriptions weren't always timely. And then Valen, I think Valen was probably my favorite character. I'm not like terribly in love with him, but I did like him. I would have liked a bit more focus on like his attempted recovery from this. And I mean, I would complain that they're about the fragmented parts of his character and the places where his actions and the ways that he, like, how quickly he forgives Annie don't make sense. But in light of the plot twist, that kind of does make sense. I really hope he gets redeemed in the next book because it would be really sad if he just dies. That would make me unhappy. As I've already stated, all of my recent favorite characters turn out being villains that don't like get redeemed, and that makes me unhappy. Alfie, I sort of liked Alfie. I would have liked him to have had a bit more like a part in the book, but he was cool enough. The Zenith tour came to a town remarkably near where I live. I'm not going to say where because I'd rather not put my exact location on the internet, but I did go and I got the book signed. See? Haha! That makes me so happy. This is the first real book signing I've ever been to. I did see Orson Scott Card once when he came to my college, but it was a discussion. He did a presentation on space politics. It was interesting, but it wasn't necessarily a book talk the way this was. So this is the first real book event I've ever been to, but in part because this is the first time anyone's come anywhere near my hometown. There was a lot of backflashes, and I really appreciated the backflashes to explain how everything was working. But there was one backflash I really wanted, and that was actually any of the backflashes. Like, now that I think about it, I was just going to suggest one scene, but the whole part of the book where Dex betrays Andy and she attempts to kill him is never shown in backflashes, and I would have really liked to have seen some backflashes of that. Another thing I was a bit confused about was, at first I didn't understand how Claren fit into the rest of the book at all, but then I was able to understand how she fit after a while, but I figured out how her and Valen were related. But I do wonder where she's from and everything, which they might talk about in book 2. So hopefully they'll talk about it in book 2. Or she'll come back, because I don't think she actually died. She just got her tongue cut out, so maybe she'll return. Which I'm not sure how I'd feel about that. I'd actually prefer she didn't, but I'm sure it might happen. I really hope they don't kill Valen. I really don't want them to kill Valen. I did also like the attention to the little details there was, like the idea that Lyra has a shelf full of trash romance novels. There was a lot of attention to like creating little things that are not exactly like are in our world, but are similar to our world. And that I thought was really interesting because it sort of made things more real, and it made the reader connect a little bit more because these things are at least superficially familiar. Or no, actually they wouldn't be superficially familiar. It would be they're only superficially unfamiliar. And I thought that was really good. I can't think of anything more that I want to say. If I think of something, I might end up having to film more of this video. Hopefully it'll get out soon and you'll see it. I want to start posting more regularly, but I'm not going to make excuses or apologize because I'm sure you're as tired of hearing them as I am of saying it. So anyway, thank you for watching this video, and please like, comment, and subscribe, and tell me down below what you thought and everything, and what you're reading now, and I'll see you soon with a new video. Bye!